That is not possible. I'd like that on record.
I didn't do anything unusual. I just leaned on the wall.
This vault hasn't opened for anyone outside the royal bloodline in 400 years. It will not open for you. Okay. Dr. Elena Vasquez had been having, by any reasonable measure, a catastrophic week. It started with a routine soil survey on what her permits clearly listed as an uncharted moon, continued through a sensor blackout that her drone had apparently decided was an acceptable risk without informing her first, and arrived at its current low point in the restricted inner chamber of a Ketheri ancestral vault, with 3 armed warriors blocking the only exit and a security door behind her that, according to everyone present, should not have let her in. She had not panicked. Panic, in Elena's experience, was what happened to people who hadn't already survived 2 volcanic field collapses and 1 improperly sealed airlock. What she felt instead, standing in a chamber of carved blue stone with weapons trained loosely in her direction, was mostly embarrassment. She had not meant to trespass. The moon wasn't supposed to be inhabited at all, let alone home to a species whose territorial boundaries weren't on any coalition star chart she'd been given. The Ketheri were not, as far as she understood them, a cruel people. They were old, ritualistic, and deeply private, a culture that had kept itself deliberately invisible for centuries rather than risk contact with outsiders. Elena understood, in the abstract, why a wandering botanist stumbling into a sealed ancestral vault might be treated as a serious problem. She understood it less when that problem involved being marched at spear point through a tunnel of glowing stone and left standing in front of a door no living Ketheri had ever seen open. Commander Threll arrived partway through the standoff, and the warriors straightened the moment he entered. He was tall even by Ketheri standards, scales the deep blue-black of a night ocean, eyes a burning amber that tracked Elena with the precise, unhurried attention of someone deciding whether a problem was dangerous or merely strange. "You opened the Vethelin door," he said. His translator rendered the words flat, almost accusing. "Explain yourself." "I didn't open anything," Elena said. "I touched it because I was trying to brace myself when the floor shook. It opened on its own. I'd love to give you a better explanation. That's genuinely all I have." He studied her for a long moment. "The Vethelin door responds only to royal blood. It has not opened for an outsider in recorded history." "Then I'd suggest checking your records," Elena said. "Because it opened, and I promise you I'm not royalty. I grow moss for a living." Something flickered across his face, not quite amusement. "You are very calm for someone standing inside a forbidden vault." "I've been in worse rooms," Elena said. "This is just inconvenient. I have a research deadline, and I'd really like my equipment back." The amusement vanished. "That is an unwise thing to say to a Ketheri warden." "Probably," Elena agreed. "I've been told I have poor instincts for when to stop talking." Threll turned to confer quietly with one of his soldiers, and it was during that exchange that the second impossible thing happened. Elena, shifting her weight against the cold stone wall, felt the carved panel behind her grow warm. She stepped back instinctively. The wall didn't react to that. It reacted to her hand brushing it a second time, the stone lighting from within in a slow spiral of gold that climbed outward from her palm like roots unfurling. The chamber went silent. Every warrior present took a step back. Threll turned from his conversation to find the human standing against a wall that hadn't glowed for any living Ketheri, ever, looking faintly apologetic about it. "That is not possible," he said. "I'd like that on record," Elena said. "I didn't do anything unusual. I just leaned on the wall." "The Vethelin markings respond only to bloodline resonance," Threll said, and for the first time his voice lost its flat command authority entirely, replaced by something that sounded almost unsteady. "No outsider has ever triggered them. Not in 4 centuries of recorded contact." "I'd like to point out," Elena said carefully, raising her hands in a gesture of harmlessness that fooled no one given the glowing wall behind her, "that I'm not trying to steal anything. I'm standing right here. I just wanted to stop leaning on something cold." The warriors around them had gone very still, weapons lowered but uncertain, watching their commander for a cue he wasn't yet giving. Threll closed the distance instead, his hand rising halfway toward the glowing panel, not quite touching it, caught in the specific hesitation of someone confronting a fact that didn't fit anywhere in his understanding of the universe. "What are you?" he asked quietly. "A botanist with very bad luck and apparently an interesting handshake," Elena said. "I genuinely don't have a better answer than that." It took 4 hours, a full genetic scan, 2 visibly unsettled Kethri archivists, and a confirmed cross-reference against records dating back centuries before the situation resolved into something resembling calm. Her ship's logs checked out. Her permits checked out. The resonance remained, for the moment, entirely unexplained. A discovery the archivists clearly intended to spend considerably more time investigating. Threll escorted her personally to the surface once her release was authorized, an act several of his warriors found unusual enough to murmur about among themselves. "Your research deadline," he said. "Is it still salvageable?" "Less than it was," Elena said. "But I've recovered from worse. I assume there's going to be a report filed about all this." "There will be," Threll said. "It will likely mean further contact. Elder Council interest at minimum." "Figured as much." Elena studied him for a moment, the careful composure that hadn't quite settled back into his face since the wall lit up. "For what it's worth, Commander, this was still a better afternoon than it started out being." Something shifted in his amber eyes, the flat authority softening into something more curious, more personal. "I have escorted no trespasser who left this vault with the wall glowing in her wake. I have a talent for unconventional first impressions," Elena said. He studied her a moment longer. "When the council summons you, and they will, I intend to be present for that meeting." "I'd like that," Elena said, and meant it more than the casual words suggested.